Greetings, Glitter Gang, and happy Thursday. This is part 2 of the Thursday, August 25th show. We just finished the third of the bumper pockets, so all 3 bumper pockets are now complete. All right. So what we're going to work on in this is what are we going to put on the backs? And I just want to see if this back pocket is the same size or what, but I think I might just divide it like this and have 2 large tags. I think that might be the easiest thing to do. That may be what we do. I just want to see what size it is. So it is also 5.5. So we could have a pocket come up to 4.5. It would come up to here. 4.5 divided in the middle, so it would be 4.5 by 5.5, and so we could have, you know, quite a decent sized tag in here. So let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So what are we going to need? We're going to need a 5.5 by 11-inch piece of cardstock for each of these. Oh, goodness me. I'm going to run out of red cardstock. Why did I not order more maroon cardstock? Why was that not a thing that I accomplished? So with these, I'm going to cut them 5.5 by 12. That way I can score one edge, and then we only need to put a flap on one side. All right, so I have these 3 pieces that are 5.5 by 12. I have this extra strip. This one's too small, I think. I'm going to leave the big piece big. Oh, look, I have 2 of those that are the right size. I'm trying to leave pieces as large as possible. All right. Between these 2 and that one, I think I have enough. Okay, we are going to use every scrap of cardstock on this one, friends. All right. Okay, so these need to be 4.5, and I'm going to cut them 1/16 short of 4.5. And then this one, oh, actually, that's not going to work. Well, no, that is going to work. I just need one more. Okay, yeah. All right. And then this one's not quite 2 inches, so I'm going to give it, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. And then we still have this scrap. I'm going to put it in the scrap bin. But anyway, the way that Tom Cruise's character acts in the beginning of the movie, the new Top Gun, is it just reminded me of the way Chuck Yeager is described. That's why I thought of reading the book again. Okay, so with these, on the 5.5-inch side, we're going to score at 4.5. And then on the 12-inch side, we're going to score at 11. Okay. Now, if you're using 8.5 by 11 cardstock, then you would just put 2 strips on, one on either end. So instead of having 3 4.5-inch strips, you would have 6 4.5-inch strips. That's the only difference you would make, or the only change you would make. So, all right. So we're going to fold along all the score lines and burnish. Okay, and then we are going to tape. And we'll tape the 2 flaps. And then we'll tape those strips off to the side there. The weather has been just wild this week. It's giving me a headache. Oh, I don't know if you heard that neck pop, but that felt good. Yeah, it's been giving me a headache. I'm over it. Over it. Okay, so we've got those prepped, and now we're just going to do these. Now, if I get the motivation to read the book club book, I may discuss it kind of casually next week, but we won't have any kind of formal discussion either way. Because like I said, I did check it out from the library, so I may just read it over the course of the coming week. But I don't know, because I did, when I finished The Right Stuff, I did start Pachinko by Lee Min-jin, so I don't know. I don't think it'll happen. Pachinko's very long. So Pachinko, should have probably have put Pachinko on the list for this year, but it has such a long wait at my library. We would have had to all put it on hold in January because it's been made into a TV show. So, but that is another multi-generational family saga, and so I did The Island of Sea Women instead. And in fact, those women from The Island of Sea Women are in Pachinko. Not like the exact characters we read about, but those divers. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to miter these corners. I also tried to read Sandman by Neil Gaiman, but I am struggling with that one. Very much so. But I already suspected I didn't like Neil Gaiman's writing from Good Omens. I know it's sacrilege. Anyone from the UK who's watching, apologies to your national honor. Oh yeah. Did not like Good Omens. Did not. So, talk about something not working for a person. That's why there's no book that's for everyone. Because that's a beloved classic. And it's also a TV show. But all right, so there we go. I have finished that. So now we're going to miter the other corners. So here's how we're going to do that. So we're going to take the intersection of these two score lines. We're going to center that under the wire of this trimmer. And then we're going to cut it. And then with this one, it's a little bit different. We're just going to line up the side that's already cut and then just finish the cut. All right, so now we have these pockets. Oh, I guess this one, oh well, it doesn't matter. We didn't need to miter both sides of that one, but it's fine. It's fine that we did. Okay, so these are gonna go, not right now, because I still wanna do some stuff to them, but we are eventually gonna put them here. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna make a liner that kind of has legs. We've made these liners before that have the split up in the middle, so it's like two legs and one leg goes down in each pocket, but it looks straight across up here. We're going to make that kind of liner for this, but first we need to make our divider. Okay, so our divider piece is going to be 3.5 inches, and it's going to be our divider pieces actually. All right. So what I'm going to be looking for is anything that's in the realm of 3.5 inches. And I do have these little squares that are 3.5 inches, so I can actually use them up. These little squares. I forget what they're cut off of, but waste not, want not. Waste not, want not is the motto of this one. Okay. So we need 6 of these pieces that are, 3.5 by 2 scored in half. And I can get 2 out of each of these. So that's perfect. By the way, if you do buy this trimmer, I have a guide on my channel. It's a YouTube video on how to get the straightest cuts from this trimmer. That is very useful in my opinion. So, all right, 2, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we just have to score these 3.5. So there's a video with tips and tricks on this trimmer. All you have to do is search trimmer on my YouTube channel and you will find it. It's one of my more popular videos. And it can really help you get straighter cuts from it than you might otherwise. Because this trimmer has kind of a best way to operate it. Now, blade style, yeah, there's no name on it for what its name is. It just says Fiskars. I know I have it linked in my Amazon storefront, which is linked below my Amazon ideas list. But this trimmer is the trimmer I recommend the second most. So like my strongest recommendation for a trimmer, and this is if you have the budget and you have the space for it, is the Rototrim M15 or M12. Which is the Master Cut, the Rototrim the M stands for Master Cut 2. And it's, I mean, it's a buy it once, it's a buy it for life. You know, it's $250-ish, so it costs money. It's an investment, but it's the last big trimmer you'll buy. There isn't a better trimmer to upgrade to. So, you know, you buy that and you're done buying trimmers. Now, the reason I also recommend this one, and the reason why you see me using this one, is there are some things that the Rototrim cannot do very well that necessitate having a second trimmer. One of them is, I think SureCut Deluxe is correct, Ella. That sounds right. Ella says she thinks that the trimmer that I have, the Fiskars trimmer, is the SureCut Deluxe, and I think that sounds right. That sounds right. Anyway, two things that the Rototrim cannot do. The Rototrim has a tough time cutting a small piece of paper off a small piece of paper. And that's just because the blade carriage is so large that anything smaller than 1 3/4 inches is kind of hard to see. So if you had like a 2-inch piece of paper that you wanted to be 1.5 inches, that would be difficult on the Rototrim. So that would be issue number 1. Now for stuff like that, you could just use a ruler. You know, you wouldn't necessarily need this trimmer. But the other thing this trimmer does is it allows you to start and stop a cut. So if you only want to cut part of a piece of paper, you know, you can only cut part of a piece of paper. The Rototrim, you can try, and sometimes you'll be successful starting and stopping, but it's not as precise as with this one. So, you know, that's something to consider. And then the third thing I would say is the Rototrim is not very portable. Like, if you're going to a crop where you can drive yourself in your car, of course you can take your Rototrim if you are going to have room for it at the crop. But if you're going in a plane, or you're not going to have a ton of room at your table, then the Rototrim maybe isn't the best. And this is a good one to take to crops as well. I don't know why that last line of tape is so deranged, but it is what it is. So let's just like, I'm willing to move on if you are. So I'm willing to let it go and move on if you are. All right, now we're going to figure it out. Yes, you have to push up, not down, Melanie. like forward, not down. So, okay. All right, so I've got all these. So what we're going to do with them is we're going to center them. And this is the center. So I'm just going to draw my line. Okay. And that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches on either side of my line. Okay, now we're going to place these dividers, and what I'm going to do is when I place them, I'm going to place them with this folded up, because if they're going to be too long, I want them to be going off the top rather than bumping into this. So I'm going to line them up with this, and then we'll go from there. And in fact, they're the exact right height, so it's fine. And then once you have your first one done, then you're good to go. Now, this one's a little bit longer, so it hung off over the top, but it's not a big deal. So all we're going to do is come along with our scissors and just go chomp. And that solves that. All right, so now we have the divided pocket. So that's why we're short, because they don't go all the way down, because we don't want them to overlap this. So, all right, so that's pocket number 1. Let me just have 2 more to do. And sorry, where are you going? Where are you going? You can't escape. What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? You trying to be free? Okay. And then this one, it's hard to see. They're like ever so slightly. So I'm going to just see if I can get them with my ruler, but all right, there we go. All right. Okay. Now that one's done. Last one. Kitty and Tiny Cat are doing fine. I mean, Kitty's on, you know, she's on a diet, and she's on, like, it's a strict one in the sense that she literally can't eat out of any other bowls. She can only eat her own food. So she's like adjusting to that, but honestly, we switched her to like a high volume food. So like a food that she can eat a lot of, because it doesn't have a lot of calories. And that has helped, because, you know, she's not feeling the pinch as much as if we'd kept her on her same food. So she's, you know, she's not as cranky as she has been on previous diets, thankfully. Now this food is very expensive, but I mean, it's just the money. It's like, how much are you willing to pay to not have your cat try to murder you every time you walk near the kitchen? Like, what price can you put on that? So, really. Tiny Cat doesn't care about anything. She loves it when it's hot. This is her favorite time of year. She likes to just lay around baking in the sun. Although Kitty had quite the adventure yesterday, which is that when the cleaners took the trash out, they let Kitty in the garage, and they must not have noticed that they let her in the garage because they locked her in there, and she was locked in there for 6 hours. So Kitty, I went out to the garage to get something for dinner out of the garage freezer, and Kitty was just running around yelling her head off in there, and I was like, what the heck? So that happened, and so anytime she gets in the garage, then she yells every time we go near the garage because she wants to go back in the garage. So, you know, I don't know. She's very dramatic. She's very dramatic. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to line this up with the bottom, and I'm only going to peel the tape from the very bottom. Yeah, Kitty did have an adventure. Now, I don't know if you recall, but at our old house, the cats used to be able to go in the garage for a couple reasons. Number one, the garage was extraordinarily well organized. So it was kind of just like a little, there wasn't anything that they could get into or hurt themselves on or anything like that. And we would just leave, we would hang a towel over the door out to the garage so they could push the garage door open to get back out again. And they used to love to be out there and like climb around on the boxes and things. But this house has too many hazards. They can't go in the garage here because of Damien's landscaping stuff. So like there's a lot of poisons out there. There's a lot of tools that are sharp and heavy things that can fall over and that sort of thing. So it's not safe. So they can't go out, but they remember that they like garages. And so they're always trying to get out. And then whenever they do, for the next few days, it's just like incessant crying at the door because they want to get back out there. All right, so now we have this divided pocket and then this large undivided pocket. All right, so let's go ahead and put our magnet plates down so that we cats are so funny. They're so funny because like she can go out anytime she wants. She can. She doesn't have to, you know, she doesn't have to stay inside the house. She can go outside on her little lanai, but she wants to be running around the front yard. She doesn't want to be on her lanai. She wants to be in the garage or in the front yard. And it's just like, you know, Kitty, a lot of cats don't have it as nice as you. A lot of cats are in, you know, inside all the time. They don't have a little screened in porch that they can go out on. They live in an apartment, whatever. You don't need to be this dramatic all the time. Wow. Funny. You don't need to be this dramatic all the time, but no, my words fall on deaf ears. She just doesn't care. She just doesn't care. Why go in the backyard when you could go in the front yard? They're not looking for Stormy. They know that Stormy is dead. They were involved in Stormy's euthanasia. So as the vet recommended, that if they were involved in his euthanasia, then they wouldn't be upset since they're not bonded. And they have not been. It's been totally fine. So yeah. Oh, wait. This goes on the pocket, Kathryn. On the pocket. Put the pocket down first. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so they're not looking for him. They're not upset, you know. Because neither of them was bonded with him, they're not sad, and they know what happened to him, so they're not like, where'd he go, you know. So, but yeah, I did not know that you should, I know I was too organized, Bev. I was too organized. That you should have all your pets participate in, if possible, you know, you should have all your pets there for the euthanasia of, if you do have to put an animal down, that it's good for the other pets to be there so they know what happened and they don't go looking, because they will look as they will look if they don't know what happened. So and this way it's low stress. Now it's, I mean, it's probably different if they all liked each other, but so you have them in the room with you for the whole process, and then after the cat has died, they can investigate the body and see what's up and see that they're dead. And then once they, you know that they're dead, they watch you remove the body so that they then know what happened to the body. And then that's pretty much that for these cats. That's how it was. That was pretty much that. Because again, they don't like each other. So they are not like sad, you know, they don't miss him, because they never got along, but they also aren't like, what the heck, where'd he go? You know? So, oh, come on. It didn't even press down all the way, and it like destroyed this pocket. It's so funny. Miracle tape is so funny. So anyway, so yeah, they're basically over it. So already. I think it also may have helped that we also changed their food immediately. So they had something else that they were kind of focused on. Like changed them to the robot cat feeders and all of that. So that's something that they've had a project they've been working on. And now they both have finally figured out the bowls to where they know which bowl is theirs. That only they can eat out of their bowls, so they don't have food aggression and they don't try to eat out of each other's bowls anymore. So really, that went very smoothly. So if you have any food drama, if you have a multi-cat household and you have any kind of food drama, those bowls are expensive, but they do work. So, all right, now last magnet and plate. So yeah, poor little guy, poor little guy. But at least the other cats are not suffering over it, so in any way. These are my last 6 glue dots. I finally used a pack of glue dots. Oh, just kidding. I have a whole nother one. Just kidding. I mean, I used a pack, but I have more. I was about to be really excited. I was going to have to buy more glue dots. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So basically now we've got the construction done for the back pocket. So when we come back tonight, what we're going to be working on is the decorating and the inserts. Well, he had cancer, so no, they can't catch what he had. So I don't know if I ever told you, but when we had to take him to the emergency vet, so we took him to vet 1. Vet 1 says he has this very treatable, manageable kidney problem. You just need to feed him this special food. So we got the special food and he didn't improve at all and he continued to get worse. So we took him to a second vet for a second opinion, and that second vet said that he had a very inflamed abdomen, and his abdomen was so inflamed that they couldn't see on the x-ray, the normal x-ray, what was wrong with him, but they suspected, based on his other tests, his blood work, one of 3 things. FIP, which is this gnarly, terrible virus that cats can get. It's kind of like cat COVID, and it's like fatal in 90% of cats that progress to the stage that he was at. So lymphoma was the other one, and then some kind of, maybe, like they said, very aggressive pancreatitis. Those were their 3 possibilities. And the treatment for pancreatitis was antibiotics. So we got him on antibiotics at that visit. And then they were like, okay, well, we don't have the ultrasound to do the more advanced radiology to determine what it really is and if there's a treatment. So we have to like get that scheduled with this floating ultrasound guy. And that's going to take a time. So we went away, and then he got even worse. So we took him to an emergency veterinary hospital. And I called several veterinary hospitals to find out which ones had this ultrasound that he needed, so that we would at least know what was up. I didn't want to just take him someplace where they were going to like guess. So we took him to a veterinary hospital that was able to do the ultrasound, and they said that he had extremely malignant kidneys, malformed kidneys. So possibly he was born with kidney cancer. Because he's little, he was like 3 or 4. He was not very old. So possibly born with kidney cancer, and his entire abdomen was covered in tumors, just covered in tumors. And that was the cause of the inflammation. So they think he was maybe born with cancer, you know. They said that it was pointless to do any testing on what kind of cancer it was, because it wasn't going to be treatable at the stage that it was at anyway, and that it was just going to be make him comfortable for a couple days while we can get the euthanasia scheduled. That was what they said. So they didn't even suggest further testing or anything like that, because they were like, no, it's take him home, get him euthanized as quickly as you can, basically. So they sent us home with like really powerful painkillers, and so he wouldn't be in as much pain, and then something to stimulate his appetite so he wouldn't be starving, because that's why we kept taking him to the vet, because he was starving himself. And so he had 2 more days where he felt okay, and then right as that was all wearing off, we were able to get the vet out to do the euthanasia. So luckily he didn't suffer very long after that. But, you know, it's just so frustrating that it took 3 visits to 3 different vets to even find out what was wrong with him and whether or not there was any path forward. And that first vet telling us that he would be fine is just, with a special diet, is just, I mean, that's wild. Because he died 2 weeks later from when that vet said he would be fine. So I don't know, man. Veterinary care could use some work, at least in this area for sure. So, but yeah. Yeah, so that's what was up. He had some kind of cancer, probably originated with his kidneys, and he was probably born with it. And his kidneys never formed properly because of it. So that was poor little Stormy, man. Poor little guy. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what happened with him. But the good news is that because it wasn't FIP or anything like that, there's no concern that the other cats can get anything related to his death. It's, you know, it has nothing to do with us. Like when we thought he might have cat COVID, we were afraid, like there was a period where the timing, if he did have cat COVID, would have been where he would have gotten it about the time when we all got COVID. So there, of course, was like a period where we're like, oh my gosh, did we give this poor cat COVID? No, we didn't. He did not have COVID. You know, but like that's the kind of thing that you kind of worry about. So that was not the case, you know. Alice says, yeah, it makes you wonder. People doctors are the same way too. There are some people doctors who, like I know with myself, you know, when I had a tumor in my abdomen when I was removed, I had a tumor removed from my abdomen when I was 25. And when I was 24, I went to see my internal medicine guy for the fact that my abdomen was hard. You know, like when you pushed on my stomach, it wasn't squishy, it was hard, like it was taut. You know, like the skin was stretched tight over something. And so I went to the doctor for that, and he said it would probably be fine. And what it was a tumor the size of a watermelon is what it was. I think about that first doctor a lot and how he's still treating people. So it's just like, so yeah, doctors, man, all kind of doctors. It's a curve. Some of them are above average, some of them are below average. So, but anyway, so yeah. So that is what's up. And when I get back tonight, we will work on tags for these pockets and how to line this pocket with the liner that has two legs. And so I'll show you how to make that two-legged liner so that it lines both pockets at the same time, goes straight across, etc. So we'll get that done. We'll get this lined. Maybe we'll work on lining this. We'll try and get some pattern paper in here. And so it's not just all construction all the time. But yeah, so that is remdesivir, Melanie. So Melanie is talking about how there is a drug to fight FIP, which is cat COVID. It's the drug that the human COVID drug, remdesivir, if you've heard of that, that is the treatment for FIP. It was actually in development. The drug was in development. When it failed as they originally developed remdesivir to fight Ebola. It didn't work for that. And so some vets were actually testing it for cat COVID for FIP instead. And so that they were tweaking it or working with it for that. And they were having a lot of success with that. So that's how they were able to bring it to market so quickly for people, because they've been working on it for cats already. But yeah, you can't get it in the U.S. because it's not approved yet in the U.S. It's only emergency approved for people. It's not approved for pets at all. But yeah, they are going to have a drug for FIP eventually. So, but yeah, but lots of cats get FIP, get the virus that causes FIP. FIP is the name for the reaction that some cats have to it. So like 80% of cats get COVID during their lives or whatever, and it's just no big deal. They may sneeze a few times. You probably don't even know they're sick. But like some cats will have this very gnarly reaction to it that causes this abdominal inflammation or whatever, which is what they thought might be Stormy, but that wasn't the case. But anyway, but yeah, so I have learned so much about cat abdomens. Ultimately, none of it was useful, but what can you do? So tonight we'll be back. We are going to work on, like, I'd like to work with pattern paper tonight. So we're going to be working on decorating in the next part, but we've got the next element done. We've got the divided back pocket done, and we'll see what we do with that when we come back tonight. So thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, evening. For those of you who are overseas and are headed to dinner or headed to bed, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next week. For everyone else, I'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time, which is 5 hours from now. So whatever time it is where you are now, just add 5 hours, and that's when I'll be back. I stream every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern USA time and 9 p.m. Eastern USA time, and we'll be working on this project until it's done. Bye now.